Hello, everybody, and welcome to No Rest for the Wicked Into the Breach, which is a massive update to the game. I'm talking like, I think it was 10 gigs to download. There's a lot of stuff in here. And this is adding content that I know I and many others have been waiting for since the launch of early access. In this video, I'm going to be giving you guys my thoughts with everything that has come with the Breach update as someone who has played No Rest for the Wicked for 105-ish hours. 25 of those have been just in the Breach update. Before we get into that though, I want to give a big shout out to Moon Studios for sponsoring this video. They're always super supportive of me loving their game, and I seriously can't thank them enough. So please do check the link in the description if at any point during this video you are interested in the game to purchase it for 30% off or to just add to your Steam wishlist, as Moon Studios are now totally independent, and wishlisting on Steam is absolutely huge for these indie studios getting their games seen by more people. Now let's do a quick overview about what exactly is in this update. Into the Breach brings with it entirely new story content that continues on from where we left off previously. This new story content takes you to two entirely new handcrafted areas that are huge, with tons of explorable space, secrets to find, and impressive flow of Moon's awesome map design. These two new areas essentially double the size of the game that's available right now. I know that Moon's level design can fit a lot in there, but this even took me by surprise. Coming alongside these entirely new large areas means we also get new bosses, and in here we have a total of 13 new bosses and 3 updated bosses with 12 new enemies from a new enemy faction. We also got some dope new weapon types with the fists and wands, and then within those new weapon types, you have various different types of those weapons, plus new weapons within pre-existing weapon types. I honestly have no idea how many new weapons in total are in this update, but just from my experience alone in these like 20-ish hours, I've used at least 20 different weapons, and I absolutely haven't seen them all. If you want to see a little montage of me experiencing some of these weapons for the first time, check our other recent No Rest for the Wicked video, and you'll see what I mean about how cool these are. If you are brand new to No Rest for the Wicked, though, there's stuff for you in here as well. As the progression has been tuned, you gain access to more weapons and armor earlier, so you can play around with a bunch of different things right off the bat, which is awesome because in No Rest for the Wicked, you don't choose a class, you assign stat points into things that you like, which is more similar to a Souls-like. So having more things to try out early on should give you a better idea of where you want to assign your points. Although I want to do a new build every time I pick up a new weapon because they all feel really cool. They also added an entirely new endgame that all players, new and old, can benefit from. Tutorials have been updated to be easier to understand, and this isn't even touching the surface of the quality of life improvements. Like, just look at these notes. So now with the added story, voice lines, side quests, and areas, I can absolutely say that now is a great time to jump into the game because there's easily hundreds of hours of content here, and currently this game is $28. Like, come on. Now, before we get into my thoughts on what I have played, I do want to address the negative reviews that came after this update hit because I think it's important. The TLDR is that some things in combat were adjusted, and the game, instead of feeling evenly challenging and fun, it tipped into being a bit frustrating. The devs pushed a hotfix literally 2 days later that hit on every single issue that I had. Parrying feels great, fighting groups of enemies feels tough but fair, enemies get interrupted when you expect them to, and overall the game feels fantastic now. They also did another hotfix to make things feel even better, and I'm getting super exciting loop drops on top of everything feeling great. So the reviews have now turned towards people giving positive reviews, and I can 100% guarantee you guys that the game now feels fantastic. Like, it is night and day. This is early access, after all. Sometimes an update will come to systems and it won't hit, but luckily Moon Studios are always super on top of this stuff, and they changed it incredibly fast. So when they said they want to make a game alongside us, they really, really do take that seriously. I'm not going to go through all of the changes that came in these hotfixes, but you will see the hotfixes scrolling on your screen as we're talking about this, and it's huge. It's now the game that I love. And actually, I think it's even a little bit better than before. Now for my thoughts on the new content. I gotta start with how insanely beautiful these new areas are. No Rest for the Wicked has one of the most gorgeous art styles, so this was expected, but I still stopped myself throughout both of these new areas to stop, take a screenshot, and appreciate just how gorgeous everything is. There's these little lifts now that you can ride from a new area to old areas, and seeing the perspective change showing off all of the land is just absolutely stunning. This continues to be one of my favorite worlds to inhabit because of the intense care put into every corner and the dedication to this art style that's just so gorgeous. Keeping on the areas, let's talk about exploration. These new maps come with just as much, if not more, vertical space to explore, leading to hidden caves at the lowest, which you will need a torch for. It is literally pitch black without a torch. Now, unless you have a weapon that's infused with a fire enchantment, or like I was using a wand that just has that on it, I could use a wand and a shield and be able to see what was going on, but it doesn't give you as much of a view as that area as a torch does. So it's very easy for something to sneak up on you if you're not using a torch. So luckily, at the beginning of at least one of the new caves, they do put a torch right there for you to pick up. If you don't have one, you can also purchase one from the store. So you can get one super easily. It's just something to keep in mind. Don't wander around in the dark. I got lost when I could see. I can't even imagine how terrible it would be if I was in the dark completely. And going all the way from the caves at the very bottom, you can climb all the way to the top of a tall ass windmill and look at the beautiful world surrounding you. Pick up a hidden item up there. Sometimes there'll even be like keys and stuff up there. There's so much to explore, not just horizontally, but vertically. There's a ton of vertical space. And within these spaces, there's plenty of secrets to discover, keys to find that will lead to awesome loot, like this one key I found that enabled me to go into the basement of a house where there was a mini boss who dropped unique boss weapons, as well as having a loot chest to drop other goodies. Shortcuts are all over these maps, making it easier and easier to explore every inch as you keep going. Initially, you get into an area and you're like, wow, this is huge. And then you think, how the hell am I going to get back here from this one checkpoint? Well, shortcuts open themselves up in perfect locations. Like Moon just gets it. There's some studios that just get level design, and Moon Studios just gets level design. It very much so gives you that feeling of like a good FromSoft level where there's checkpoints where you expect them to be, or there's shortcuts going back to that checkpoint where you expect it to be. So you never feel like, oh God, when am I going to find a shortcut? It's always there when you want it to be. And these shortcuts make the map not only flow with Sacrament, but there's also ways to get from the new areas to one of the older areas. Like in my case, for example, I was exploring the meadows, but I needed to get a material that dropped from something that could potentially be in one of the first areas. So I just took the lift over there, spent some time farming, and then I took the lift back and I was right back there. So the shortcuts are feeling really good. Now we have to talk about weapons. My God, the new weapons. I think just about every single one I tried, I was like, what the fudge is this? Like, what? The wands make you feel like a true battle mage with the ability to club enemies over the head. You can pair it with a shield for parries and blocking. And then you have super powerful rune attacks that also just make you feel cool. Like the ice wand. We'll talk about the ice wand in a second. The fists just make you feel like you're straight out of a martial artist movie, and all of the fist weapons have different speed of attacks and also have different attack chains. So if you find one pair of fists that you're not really vibing with, it's very possible that you might vibe with the other ones. Plus, you can run at enemies and kick them, which is always fun. Now, some of my favorite weapons that I've used so far are the Ice Wand because it's got a cool flippy move, both in its regular attack and also its rune attack, and I do like flipping. This Ice Staff that has an Ice Beam rune, very reminiscent of something from Elden Ring. And then there was this Fire Wand that comes with a rune that makes you leave fire behind you. So you can just run around in a circle burning enemies if things get sticky. I did that quite a few times where I was like, I don't feel super confident in fighting this enemy. I'm just going to run in a circle. And the cool thing with this rune is that the fire remains on your character because it's more of like a character buff than a weapon buff. So it remains on your character even if you switch weapons. So you could get this wand, you could put on this super awesome rune, and then you could just switch back to your main weapon. So I'm using a wakizashi, for example, and a wand. So I could put the fire on myself, and then I could run around with my wakizashi. It was awesome. I'm still discovering new weapons, and every single one I pick up, I want it to be my new main, which is a problem because I've been putting stats into absolutely everything. I've now dialed in on I want to do dex and intellect, but every time I pick up a cool, creepy, culty looking faith weapon, it makes me question my decisions. Now, let's touch on new enemies and bosses. The new enemy factions are definitely challenging. One of them in the Marne Woods will throw literal birds at you and call in their big bird friends to come and help them. This can get pretty spicy to manage because you're dodging like electrical attacks, you're dodging birds, you're dodging archers, and then they call in a dude with a spear and a shield. So it gets a little spicy to deal with, but you can definitely deal with it. And it's challenging, but fun to do so. The enemy faction in the meadows are like mutated soldiers, so they look fairly human until they stretch out their limbs and hit you across the screen. They can also chug a drink to heal themselves, so bringing along something that can hit them at range to interrupt them and stop them from doing that is usually a good idea. I was very, very thankful for my ice staff because I would just beam them motherfuckers and they wouldn't be able to do it anymore. Now, I've only fought one of the new campaign bosses so far, which was the Lost Huntress. And this monster is absolutely disgusting and also very sad. It's essentially a torn bear, so think of a plagued bear or a mutated bear that has merged with a hunting tribe woman. And this NPC, we actually met her very, very, very early on at the beginning of the game. And I really liked her, and I was really excited to meet her again in this new area. And, well, she is now merged together with this mutated bear. Think Edward. Edward. You know what I mean. You know what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like that. And as you're fighting this boss, you can hear her cries and screams. So I was very happy when I defeated it, but also I was like, what the fudge? That's kind of sad. So I'm happy, but also sad. But the boss itself was great. The boss felt really, really good. The timings all felt good. The moves were super powerful, and they could definitely get on top of me if I started messing up, but it felt super good. I absolutely love this boss, and I love the design. I know I'm saying it's gross and sad, but I personally love the weird design of like having a woman merged with a torn bear. I think that's really cool. Finally, I want to talk about the story because I have been waiting for some new story with those beautiful cutscenes, and that definitely does not disappoint. The cutscenes look even better than they did before. I know that they said they did like a pass on all of the cutscenes, and I was like, yeah, sure. I mean, they look great. What else could you do? But they do look noticeably better. Like everything is sharper and cleaner. I even feel like some of the animations are more intricate, but I might be totally tripping on that one. That might not be true, but it definitely looks cleaner and sharper. Progressing the story has felt awesome, and I'm still very much intrigued by what this plague is, as well as the political strife between different groups. Like you've got the church, you've got the king that died, you've got the brother, and you got a lot going on. So I'm very curious to see where the political strife goes. But man, every time I see one of those cutscenes, I just can't wait for more. They're so beautiful. Like this art style is so gorgeous, and then the cutscenes are so beautifully made. So those are my thoughts about the breach. I'm certainly not done with the content because I think to experience all of the 2 areas, fight all of the new things, try all of the new weapons, I'm looking at least another 50 hours. I think that's being very low on my estimate. And I'm really excited. I'm very much looking forward to putting those hours in because I want to see the new campaign bosses especially. Again, thank you to Moose Studios for sponsoring this video. Please check the Steam link to wishlist or purchase for 30% off until May 14th. And thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know if you've played The Breach in the comments, and let me know what builds you're doing, and let me know what weapons you find because I would like to try them. Okay, bye!